This is DD India. You're watching Express News, a program where we bring you top 100 news of the day. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj and let's begin. Members of the Dawoodi Bohra community led by Shehzada Hussain Burhanuddin met India's President Draupadi Murmu in New Delhi on Friday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Elon Musk on Friday and highlighted the immense potential for collaboration between India and the United States in the domains of technology and innovation. PM Modi chaired a high-level meeting to review issues related to the cleaning of Yamuna River and Delhi's drinking water supply. Prime Minister affirmed that centre will work closely with the Delhi government to ensure world-class infrastructure and ease of living for the people of Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi remembers the courage and sacrifices of Jesus Christ on Good Friday. Taking to social media platform X, PM Modi said, "This day inspires us to cherish kindness, compassion and always be large-hearted." The Bhagavad Gita and Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra have been inscribed in UNESCO's Memory of World Register. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called it a proud moment for every Indian across the world. World Heritage Day, also known as the International Day for Monuments and Sites, is celebrated on April 18 every year. India's Culture Ministry has announced that no fee shall be charged from visitors to ASI protected monuments across India on April 18. India's Ministry of External Affairs has slammed Bangladesh for the comments made by its officials on the developments in West Bengal. MEA official spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal said Bangladesh would do better to focus on protecting the rights of its own minorities. The United Nations held a press conference on the status of intergovernmental negotiations on reforms of the United Nations Security Council. Tariq Al-Banai, the permanent representative of the intergovernmental negotiations, said during the conference that India is a contender for an expanded Security Council. Minister of State for External Affairs Pabitra Margarita interacted with the leading business community in Malaysia, representing the strong and growing business and economic engagement between Indian and Malaysia. The minister also held a productive discussion with his Malaysian counterpart, Datuk Mohammad Alamin, in Kuala Lumpur. Both leaders explored ways to take forward the comprehensive strategic partnership. India's Minister of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, held a fruitful discussion with agriculture ministers of BRICS countries and shared India's rich agricultural tradition, great cultural heritage and steps taken towards sustainable agricultural development. Addressing the meet, Shivraj Singh Chauhan highlighted initiatives like digital public infrastructure by India that are an important step towards finding solutions to serious agricultural challenges. Minister Chauhan held a strategic meeting with the Russian delegation at BRICS to strengthen agricultural cooperation between the two nations. The minister joined a high-level conference alongside the Brazilian Minister of Agriculture and Livestock, Carlos Favaro, to deliberate on strengthening trade relations and advancing cooperation in agricultural research and technology between Brazil and India. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar called on Prime Minister of Tanzania, Kassim Majaliwa, on Friday in Delhi. Both exchanged views on how best to take them forward. Union Minister for Railways, Information and Broadcasting and Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, inaugurated VVDN Technologies state-of-the-art Mechanical Innovation Park in Manesar on Friday. Minister of State of India's Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Dr. L. Murugan, chaired a review meeting and conducting a thorough review of the planning and progress for the World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit, that is WAVES, at the Geo World Center in Mumbai on Friday. The Create in India Challenge Season 1, launched as a flagship initiative under WAVES, has achieved a significant milestone, receiving nearly 1 lakh registrations, including over 1,100 international participants. Indian Navy sailing vessel Tarini crossed the iconic Cape of Good Hope on 17th of April, marking another monumental milestone in their epic circumnavigation journey. The crew is now charting a course for India fueled by determination and adventure. U.S. agencies, the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement and Removal Operations arrested terrorist Harpreet Singh on Friday. He is charged by National Investigation Agency of India in the 2024 Chandigarh grenade attack case. The Coal Ministry of India has implemented the coal import monitoring system to strengthen transparency and efficiency in the coal import monitoring. For the first time in its 136-year legacy, India's Singareni Collieries Company Limited began mining activities outside Telangana in Odisha's Naini coal block on Thursday. Smartphones have emerged as India's largest export in first 10 months of financial year 2025, with exports reaching a record of 2 lakh crore rupees. This has created lakhs of new jobs, especially for women, expanding opportunities for Indian MSMEs. Apple's shipments of smartphones in China slumped 9% in the first quarter from a year earlier, and it was the only major manufacturer to see a decline, according to data from a leading research firm. South Korea's government proposed on Friday a supplementary $8.6 billion budget to counter heightening risks to economic growth in the face of a global trade war. Mali's financial sector shut down as workers launched a 72-hour strike over union arrests and poor working conditions. Strike may extend to 120 hours if its demands aren't addressed. Netflix on Thursday reported quarterly earnings slightly better, with a profit of $2.9 billion on revenue of $10.5 billion in the first quarter of the year. Gold futures maturing on June 5 is priced at 95,239 rupees per 10 grams on the multi-commodity exchange. Silver futures for May 5 maturity stood at 95,001 rupees per kilograms on the MCX. Global crude oil prices rose on Friday and was priced at $67.85 US. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Friday has said that it will stop trying to broker a Russia-Ukraine peace deal within days unless there are clear signs that a deal can be done. A new meeting of envoys from the United States, France, Britain, Germany and Ukraine will take place next week in London. Rubio has called Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to discuss the Paris meeting. The Kremlin on Friday said that some progress had already been made in talks about a possible peace settlement to end the conflict in Ukraine, but that contacts were rather complicated with the United States. Kremlin also said that 30-day moratorium on striking Ukrainian energy infrastructure ordered by Russian President Vladimir Putin last month has expired. Kyiv on Friday said it aims to complete talks by the end of next week about a deal with Washington on jointly exploiting Ukrainian minerals resources. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Kyiv has intelligence which shows China is supplying artillery and gunpowder to Russia. US Vice President J.D. Vance arrived in Italy, where he met Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni on Friday. Vance said that the United States is optimistic it can put an end to the war between Russia and Ukraine. US President Donald Trump hosted Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni in Washington on Thursday, and both talked up the chances of trade deal between the US and Europe. Trump said that the US would reach a trade deal with the EU before the end of his 90-day pause on tariffs, asserting that the chances of it are 100%. Italian Prime Minister Meloni too echoed similar sentiments as she expressed surety of an agreement soon. The two leaders also discussed defense spending and immigration. Trump also agreed for an official visit to Rome and considering meeting representatives of the European Union while there too. Trump on Thursday said that US and China are in talks to make a deal on tariffs and that it can be made over the next 3 or 4 weeks. The president stressed on having a good relations with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. As Trump signals easing of tariff relations tensions with China, the United States unveiled new port fees on Chinese-built and operated ships Thursday. The US Supreme Court will hear arguments on May 15 regarding President Donald Trump's executive order that directs federal agencies to deny citizenship to children born in the United States unless at least one parent is a US citizen or lawful permanent resident. After the Supreme Court's announcement, Trump said that the case over his executive order to restrict automatic birthright citizenship is easy to win. Student educators and activists rallied at Foley Square in Manhattan on Thursday to defend academic freedom and protest what they described as political repression, censorship and attacks on higher education under US President Donald Trump. Khalil al-Hayya, leader of the Hamas negotiating team for indirect talks with Israel on Thursday, rejected Israel's latest proposal of partial Gaza truce. The second round of nuclear talks between US and Iranian officials is scheduled to take place in Rome on Saturday, while Oman's foreign ministry will continue to mediate. The United States military struck the Ras Issa fuel port in western Yemen to cut off a source of fuel for Iran-backed Houthi militants. A Houthi-run media reported that strikes killed at least 38 people. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney faced sustained attacks from his Conservative rival at an election debate on Thursday, but the Liberal leader sought to focus attention on what he calls Canada's top threat, President Donald Trump. We are heading for a short break here on DD India. We will be back with Express News in just a bit. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
Nature gives and we take, and sometimes a little too much. But what happens when this balance tips and who is the most impacted? Let's take a look at some of the solutions that are trying to help these communities.
We want to encourage people to consume more local products. These were caught in environmentally friendly nets, not farmed. That makes a huge difference.
Project Tangaroa. It's working to build a global framework that can help identify which wrecks need to be taken care of first and find the funding for cleanup missions.
We use Esler organic fertilizer for our plants. With organic fertilizer, the yield is better and the soil's health improves.
Welcome back to Express News. Let's resume. Switzerland, Italy and France face severe spring snowstorms, leaving one dead and another injured. Over a meter of snowfall triggered emergency responses, with authorities warning of avalanches and falling trees in high-risk areas. A woman suffered cardiac arrest after being buried in an avalanche at Val Thorens in France. Residents were urged to stay indoors as snowfall continues to disrupt travel and daily life. More than 400 firefighters were deployed to assist in rainfall-hit Turin and Biella regions of North Italy. The Alvo River overflowed, prompting over 300 emergency interventions. Firefighters carried out 90 operations to remove fallen trees and drain basements in Turin and Evrea. Additional units from Asti joined efforts to restore safety amid ongoing heavy rainfall. Amid shifting wind patterns in the Indian capital Delhi, Indira Gandhi International Airport has issued an advisory for passengers that some airline operations may experience delays due to weather conditions. Severe weather led to the collapse of an under-construction steel bridge near Rajouri in India's Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The bridge crashed due to strong winds and thunderstorms. Heavy rain has led to waterlogging in several parts of Bhubaneswar, the capital of Indian state of Odisha. Commuters face difficulties navigating flooded roads while rescue teams work to elevate the situation. Sudden heavy rain and strong winds swept across Bhubaneswar, affecting traffic. The storm reduced visibility, causing disruptions while authorities worked on restoring normalcy in the affected areas. A brief spell of rain touched parts of Birbhum district in the Indian state of West Bengal, offering temporary relief from the heat. Unseasonably high temperatures turned Poland into one of Europe's warmest spots. Locals and visitors flock to beaches, enjoying summer-like weather as a hot air mass settles over the country. A stunning Easter display featuring 35,000 glowing decorations transforms a garden in Grabovnica, Croatia. The Easter-themed twinkling lights turn the garden into a festive Easter wonderland. Thousands gathered in Sevilla for La Madruga, an iconic Easter procession. Solemn music and revered statues created a moving spectacle as the tradition carried on into the early hours. At the Basilica of Arzan Tuyo, the revered holy tunic believed to have been worn by Jesus during his crucifixion has been carefully removed from its reliquary ahead of its much anticipated exhibition. Starting soon, 400,000 visitors, including Vatican dignitaries, are expected at the Basilica of Arzan Tuya until May 11 to witness the relic. Restorer Claire Bonnier has confirmed that its original fragments remain well preserved. Founded in 1815 for the Ottoman army, Anadolu Agricultural Enterprise continues breeding top-tier horses while supporting agriculture, livestock and rural jobs, preserving its legacy as a key player in Turkey's equestrian world. For the first time in its 37-year history, under 15 players are being allowed to compete in annual Australian Sikh Games in Sydney. More than 100,000 viewers and athletes are expected to participate. The flamingo found in Denizli province of Turkey with injured feet was released back into nature after 4 days of treatment. At Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya, teenage girls train in Taekwondo twice a week, gaining confidence and self-defense skills. The girls can now protect themselves after facing past violence. The historic Frick Collection, an iconic art museum in New York City, welcomes visitors back after a $220 million restoration. Following its grand reopening, the Frick Collection will launch a music festival in its new auditorium and debut Vermeer's Love Letters, showcasing the Dutch artist's works, starting June in New York. In Champigny-sur-Marne, France, construction of VA Champigny-Brie station on Metro Line 15 South is in full swing with testing underway. Teams are racing to ensure the line is ready before the Paris 2026 Olympics. In Goiás, Brazil, hundreds of Catholic faithful marked the start of Holy Week with a silent torchlight procession. The centuries-old Holy Week procession in Goiás draws believers yearly, preserving one of Brazil's most important religious customs. In London, 3 Socorro dove chicks extinct in the wild have hatched as a part of global breeding program. With only 181 left in captivity, plans aim to reintroduce them to Mexico by 2030. The animated film Sneaks debuts in US theaters on April 18, featuring music stars Quavo, Ella Mai and NBA legend Chris Paul. Producer Mustard provides original music and voices a character. Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid star in Companion, debuting globally on HBO Max April 18. Set in a remote lake house, the film unravels a gripping mystery when a shocking revelation turns a weekend getaway into chaos. A new animated series, Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord, is all set to release in 2026. The upcoming animated series follows Maul's life before Star Wars rebels. Marvel releases the trailer of teases The Fantastic Four First Steps, starring Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby and more, and will hit the theatres on July 25th. Lily Collins returns as Emily Cooper for the 5th season of Emily in Paris, with filming of the series to begin in May 2025. Ben Affleck returns as Christian Wolf almost after 9 years in the long-awaited sequel. Packed with action and mystery, The Accountant 2 follows Wolf solving a murder. British rock band Coldplay released the Korean language version of their song We Pray in collaboration with K-pop stars Twice. Bollywood actor Imran Hashmi's upcoming film Ground Zero is set for a grand red carpet premiere in Srinagar. The first in 38 years, the film hit theatres on April 25. Nawazuddin Siddiqui stars as Costao Fernandez, a fearless customs officer battling Goa's smuggling empire in the gripping crime thriller Costao. Directed by Sejal Shah, Costao is set to premiere on 1st of May on Z5. Sunny Deol's Jat storms past 62.24 crore rupees in its extended week 1. The film was released on April 10. After the blockbuster success of Jat, Sunny Deol announces Jat 2. The sequel promises high-octane action and a thrilling new mission. India's squash players Anahat Singh and Veer Chotrani stormed into the semi-finals of the World Championship qualifying event, keeping their hopes alive for a berth at the upcoming World Championships in Chicago. India has fielded a 56-member boxing squad for the Asian Under-15 and Under-17 boxing championships in Jordan. Indian women's hockey legend Vandana Kataria has thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a letter of appreciation following her retirement from the sport. Rajat Patidar, Royal Challengers Bangalore, will face Punjab Kings in the IPL League match on Friday. Gujarat Titans has roped in Sri Lankan all-rounder Dasun Shanaka to replace Glenn Phillips, who has been ruled out of the Indian Premier League due to injury. Chennai Super Kings have secured the services of South African batter Dewald Brevis for the remainder of the IPL season, replacing injured Gurjanpreet Singh. The French Open said it would also honour its 2000 women's champion Marie Pierce as well as local favourite Richard Gasquet, who will retire after the tournament this year. Former world number 4 Caroline Garcia has pulled out of this month's Madrid Open due to back problem, casting doubts on her fitness ahead of the French Open in late May. Spain's Carlos Alcaraz will face Alex de Minaur in the quarterfinals of the Barcelona Open on Friday evening. David Goffin of Belgium and Argentina's Francisco Cerundolo won their respective matches at the Munich BMW Open to set up a quarterfinals clash. Fourth seed Coco Gauff will take on Jasmine Paolini in the quarterfinals of Porsche Tennis Grand Prix in Stuttgart, city of Germany, on Saturday. FIFA President Gianni Infantino said player health and welfare remain a key consideration for the global governing body amid concerns about expanding tournaments in an already crowded calendar. Spain's La Liga will be represented by at least 5 teams in the Champions League next season after Italy's Lazio were eliminated from the Europa League. Harry Maguire scored in the dying seconds of extra time to help Manchester United snatch a place in the Europa League semi-finals with win over Olympique Lyonnais. Tottenham Hotspur snatched an aggregate 2-1 victory over Eintracht Frankfurt to reach the Europa League semi-finals. That's it in this edition of Express News. Thanks for tuning in.